to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one! Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Works out by Burke. Bounces into Cody. Puts it up. Scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. Welcome aboard. Hello, Kevin Brockway, John, the producer, and everybody else. How's everything going? Hope another beautiful day out there looks like, man.
Exactly. And we were all day yesterday. It was a beautiful day, but I was busy hacking away at the computer with three stories between Indiana football, the news of DJ Matthews being out for the year, obviously tough blow, and then Indiana basketball media day, getting a chance to see Mike Woodson again and all the players, and that was pretty interesting. Certainly a positive vibe. Everything is Disneyland, right, in September when it's preseason, and there's no wins and no losses, but it sounds like you heard the word positivity a lot, and it was interesting because I think it was a little bit of a backhanded jab at the previous regime a little bit. That was my impression.
Backhanded? Well, it won't be backhanded here, I can tell you. It will be out front and center.
Yeah.
You want to get a good indication from our perspective, all you have to do is look at J.D. Campbell. Look how he just seems relaxed.
Yeah.
And I'm glad for him because that's a stressful job. But he's joking all the time. The players seem relaxed. So it's obviously a different atmosphere, but there's no surprise at all to me. I mean, I'm not going to say it's backhanded. It's a direct. It was like a morgue before.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. I've always have been, always will be. It was like a morgue.
Yeah.
But yeah, very positive. The guys really do seem to like each other. And it's not that they didn't like each other before. I think is not having that positive feel around. I mean, let's just be honest and blunt. Archie Miller had as much happiness as Eeyore. I mean, he was like Eeyore. Ooh. And it's just, it brings everybody around you down or up. And right now they're up. So, yeah, it was fun to get in there and see that face-to-face finally for the first time in 2 years. It makes a huge difference. Getting to talk to those and establish those relationships.
I think with Mike Woodson, though, I think there is a sense of, he is a player's coach. But there is also that sense of accountability and standards. And, he mentioned the team huddling and pointing to the banners. And, he comes from the Knight tree. Now, I mean, is he as rough and tumble as Knight? No, but I think he's going to hold people accountable.
I think he's the perfect mix of it.
Yeah.
He has the knowledge, the understanding that he got from Bob Knight. And like Mike Krzyzewski, he has the ability to do it without doing it in a way that is too divisive.
And I'm a big fan of the player development side of him being a teacher and him and his, staff being teachers and viewing themselves as that. And he talked about Ray Thompson. Everyone said he can't do this, he can't do that. He said, well, I'm going to develop him into doing that. And there's something to be said for that, which is, I'm going to develop him into being a shooter. I'm going to develop him into handling the ball. I'm going to give him those opportunities. I think that says a lot. And I think that empowers players too. I think that's very important. And it makes players feel like they believe in them and they believe they can get done. Now, we'll see the results on the court. Certainly, maybe some of those things get scaled back if Ray Thompson can't do some of those things in Big Ten play. But you hope, or you keep your fingers crossed that, that develops and maybe there's a little trial by error there and maybe they're patient with it.
Yeah. I like the fact too, that he said, I don't believe that. I don't believe that they can't do this or that. I believe that they have that ability. That it just hasn't been brought out in them. So there you go. But it was a long, long day yesterday. Yes, it started for me by doing the show from the football facility because that's the only way I can be there on time for the pressers after doing the show. So I did the show at the football complex, then had the football pressers, then had the IU Media Day, then did a show with Mitchell Page last night. So, yeah, that was a long, and that was Monday.
How about that?
So,
yeah. And Mitchell,
so everybody thinks it's all glory working in this field. Yeah, not.
yeah, we all have to hustle, no question. Mitchell Page, that's kind of interesting, right? Before he was the last guy to score both a special teams touchdown and an offensive touchdown before who? Before, was it DJ Matthews, or I'm trying to remember who was the guy that did it in a or 2 touchdowns in one game.
Talk about Whop Billiard?
No, 1 special teams and 1 Javon Swinton was the guy.
This year.
Yeah. So Javon Swinton was, in the Idaho game, he scored a offensive touchdown and a special teams touchdown. And the last guy to do that before that was Mitchell Page, apparently.
Should have brought that up to him.
How about that?
Should have had you join us last night.
I know that would have been. Where did you do the show from?
Southern Stone. We were over Southern Stone.
Oh, that's nice.
Just stopped in to, a little football talk.
Good stuff. But yeah, DJ Matthews, bringing him up, obviously that's a blow to the receiving core. And I'm going to interview Miles Marshall and Jacoby Hewitt when I get out of here at 11. And that's they're going to need them to step up. They're going to need a lot of people to step up this week because going into Beaver Stadium in Penn State is no picnic, 107,000 fans, and Indiana 2-2 coming off that game against Western Kentucky where they squeaked by and found a way to win, but certainly it wasn't a resounding victory. Although Michael Penix did look better, but we will see. The proof will be in the pudding this Saturday night.
Hello to Donald and Ross, Dwayne, Tim, Michael. Everybody's up and on it this morning. I'm about to sneeze, man. I think I held it back. I did.
Good.
I missed. Daggone it. Why did I miss it? Because I was so busy. I forgot yesterday. I forgot to watch the Peyton Monday Night Football, Peyton Manning. Daggone it.
I didn't get to I watched the very end of it, and apparently there was a clip of there's a great clip of Eli doing this like hip thing, and he was like, I'm like Shakira, my hips don't lie, or whatever, and he was doing like the hip rotation thing, and it was hysterical. I was like, and Eli's got that sneaky kind of funny personality to him, goofy personality to him, which is good. It's a nice change of pace.
Well, you almost have to if you grew up with Peyton Manning.
Oh yeah, because I don't like. There was actually a good documentary. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago on the SEC network called The Book of Manning, and it was about Archie, Eli, and Peyton. And they talked about how Peyton relentlessly teased Eli growing up. He was like the younger brother, and and Cooper actually teased Peyton a lot too. And Peyton was kind of a whiny kid, apparently.
Whiny. Love hearing that word. Whiny kid.
As a little, they had like a we would call it. They had a home video of like Peyton at 4 years old whining because Cooper was either tackled him hard or took away the football from him or something. Yeah, it's funny.
Who won the game last night? I mean,
Cowboys won big. The Cowboys won big. I didn't get to see much of it either because I just basically. I got done with my stories at like 8, and then I had to do some laundry, and I went to the gym. By the time I got back from the gym, it was like 11 o'clock, and everything.
You didn't know your life story.
Everything. Well, I'm just telling you why I didn't watch. I'm just telling you why I didn't watch Monday Night Football either.
Kidding.
But it was apparently a Cowboys rout, and Dak Prescott played really well again. And I think the Cowboys clearly look like the best team in the NFC East right now.
Really?
Yeah.
See my new shirt?
I saw that. Roy Kent is here. He's there. He's everywhere.
He's every what?
Every the F-where. Yeah.
F-and-where, yeah.
Yeah.
You're not a fan of Ted Lasso. Thank you, Pete.
Yeah, no, but I've heard about that. I've heard about Ted Lasso, but
well, how can you not?
Hey, I've got the Hips Don't Lie clip about ready to be ready if you want to see that.
Oh, please. I did not see it.
It was hysterical. Eli was great. Yeah.
It's like about training. You close the left hip, open up that right hip, close the left shoulder, open up the hip. Boom, boom, boom. These hips don't lie. I'm like Shakira.
That was great.
But if you watch quarterbacks, that's the warm up. That's That's Dak Prescott. He's the one that does that.
Yeah.
I think more. Yeah. I mean, maybe they all do, but to get your hips open for real. But I remember he's got he's the one that does the overextended drill of doing that, of doing that. That's why he was probably doing that since the Cowboys were playing.
You'd have to think that quarterbacks are probably pretty good dancers because they have to, use their hips that way.
You would think, but I can't think of.
I can't see Peyton dancing.
I was just going to say Peyton didn't run the ball much, so no. He just, no, not at all. But it's great. Hey, that could become. I think that could become more popular than the regular broadcast.
Oh yeah, I think it already is. I mean, I think it's great. Like to watch. It's just so funny to watch because it's just like unfiltered. It's just them, BSing and talking about football, and they get good guests on, and they get a variety of guests. Apparently, they had Nick Saban on yesterday. I did not see that, but they had a lot of different people kind of chime in and join it, and people were really. I think people are really warming up to it too. They just kind of like that format where you can go and kind of shoot the breeze and. Be yourself and, just talk over the game like that.
Tim's still shocked that Caleb Glenn committed to Louisville. I'm not shocked. I never get shocked about anything anymore, but I thought Indiana had a good shot at getting him, but also would never be surprised that a kid from Louisville committing to Louisville, no matter, even though they've got a mess going on down there. But,
speaking of Louisville, by the way, did you notice that Woodson kind of slipped the secret scrimmages yesterday? He mentioned 2 against Cincinnati and a team in Louisville.
A team in Louisville.
So, Bellarmine, you think that's it?
A team in Louisville.
Yeah.
He did not say, I bet you it's Bellarmine.
Bellarmine, yeah. Are there any other Division II schools or smaller schools?
Well, they're Division I now.
And I know they're Division I now. Are there any other schools?
And
it's probably not Louisville, I wouldn't think. Yeah.
No, and coach, oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank on Bellarmine's coach's name? Daggone it.
He's
Scotty Davenport.
Yeah, he follows me on Twitter. Nice guy.
He follows me as well. No, Scotty. Scotty is a great guy, super guy.
Yeah.
But he was at all the camps too. So I'm sure that as a matter of fact, I know for a fact he was at one that I was at, that I know the Indiana staff was also at.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that they talked. And the fact that they've just moved up to Division I, great team to have a scrimmage with. They've scrimmaged Louisville anyway a lot. So we got to take a quick break. Matt Taylor, or no?
Mike DeCourcy.
Mike DeCourcy's coming up next.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
All right. We can't miss that. We're back with more
Mike
on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the great folks at Southern Stone Restaurant. Great place to have a meal, whether it's a celebration or just a relaxing night away from the kitchen. Get out to Southern Stone Restaurant, try something new. They're at Rogers and Patterson in Bloomington. They're open for lunch and dinner. Southern Stone offers comfort food with Southern charm. You can sit on the outdoor patio still here on the fall, or in their spacious inside seating. You got knowledgeable bartenders. You can catch the IU basketball and football coaches shows there each week. Southern Stone Restaurant. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Hey, Hoosier fans.
All right, I'm going to go get some coffee.
Get some coffee.
There's no way.
There's no way what?
That maybe he didn't. That's right. I forgot about that. Mitchell Page said he'd never heard of Bob Seger.
Working on the night moves.
Well, maybe that's why he'd said that. He heard you sing.
Exactly. On a long, lonesome highway east of Omaha. No.
What did I just come back to?
Exactly.
Bob Seger.
What did Mike walk into?
Yes, I did not expect to be serenaded.
It's going to say he's being brought in and special.
Here I am.
Did you tell him that Mitchell Page didn't know the Bob Seger song or something?
I forgot about that. Yeah, until
okay.
Someone just mentioned that. We were talking about. I did a show with Mitchell Page last night, and he said he never heard of Bob Seger, and I'm like, "You're out of your flipping mind." I know you're 12 years old, but damn it! It's like I told him. I said, "I know who Jesus is, and that's 2,000 years ago."
Oh no, that's a fair comparison.
Yes, absolutely. Putting
The Beatles
Seeger
or the
and
Stones.
Jesus
Like, we know.
in.
Yeah, we know the Beatles and the Stones and stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, I was trying to think of something funny or something. I couldn't think of historical quick enough. Jabba the Hutt. Don't think
Jabba the
he's a
Hutt
real
wasn't
character.
before your time.
How's Mike doing?
For the follower of a 1 and 2 football team, I'm doing okay.
Yeah. Man, yeah, the Steelers are.
Who did the Steelers lose to?
Bengals, which is
Oh my God! I
The
forgot.
Bengals.
The Bengals.
That's like losing to the Mets.
Well, trust me, the Jets have no hope. They're 0-3. They're just depressing to watch. Can't even score the ball or move the ball or do anything.
yes.
All right, here we go.
You helped me pick out my first car and helped me buy my dream home. And I know you'll continue to be there for whatever my future holds. Because you're my BFF, banking friends forever.
Right now, get free checking with online banking and all the products of big city banks with hometown service.
With First Federal, you can do that.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Tuesday. Kevin Brockway, of course, with us, and joined by the great Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. Mike, how are you, sir?
I am well this morning. How are you, Jim?
Doing great. Kevin's with us as well. Kevin?
Morning, Mike, and we had Mike Woodson's media day. So, and I guess all the crazy NBA media days too. Brad Beal saying some crazy stuff about vaccinations. The former Gator. It's kind of a eventful news day yesterday in the NBA world, huh?
It was, Mike kind of got shoved off the stage by Bradley Beal and Kyrie Irving not showing up, and it was a very interesting day. Although it lost in all of that were gentlemen like Damian Lillard from Portland saying, "Of course I did it because it helps the people around me, and I don't want to make them ill," and all that stuff. And it's like, why isn't that the message that's universal? So I was really happy to see what Dame said. It's been a good summer for Dame. He got a gold medal, and now he was the unquestioned star of NBA media days yesterday. So he may not have gotten the most attention, but he was the star.
And the ones that aren't, that are stirring things up, are usually the ones that don't really have an answer, which cracks me up as to why. But
right,
that's not for me to say whether. But I just don't understand it. I'm like, well, that's fine, but give me an answer. Give me a reason.
Well, the oddity of this, and in some cases, I mean, in Kyrie Irving's case, by the nature of the law, rules or laws or whatever you want to call them that are in place in New York City right now, there's a chance he's not going to be able to play at home games if indeed he is not vaccinated, which is what is intimated, although not declared. If he is not going to be able to play home games. I mean, think about that. He makes what, $30 million a year? I mean, you're talking about rolling $15 million out the window over this. I mean, I got a flu shot on Saturday. In addition to the 2 COVID shots I got this year, in addition to the shingles vaccine, which I got, and you
made it to the show today. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Like, I'm here. You know, I got the flu shot and my arm didn't even hurt, which is unusual for me. But it just sort of shows like all this consternation about this stuff, how ridiculous it is.
It absolutely is. And it's going to continue to be for a while. But you were talking about your 1-2 football team earlier in the break. Well, that's better than the fans around here with an 0-3 team. Talking about the Steelers and the Colts, both with higher expectations. The Steelers, of course, higher expectations than 1-2, certainly to start off, and certainly to see the Bengals be the team that beat them and to be leading that division right now. I'm like, I can't believe that that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, the Steelers are struggling with their offensive line at a really high level. 2 rookies out of their 5 starters on the offensive line, and it is not working well. I don't know how much longer that's going to last. A lot of it depends on whether Zach Banner, who began last year as the team's starting right tackle and then was injured in the first game and hasn't played since. I don't know how soon he returns to health. If he does, that might help them, but they've got real problems on the offensive line. The interesting thing, of course, is the Colts, a lot of their problems are offensive line as well, but it's more injury related, not so much talent related. That, the Steelers, I think, expected to be able to hang in while their offensive line built itself into competence, but they've had injuries on defense that have been devastating. I think that's the part of how the NFL season develops that's most overlooked, misunderstood. How 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 injuries can really devastate a team trying to build momentum. And there are a lot of conclusions reached early in a season, and sometimes they're a bit overwrought. I mean, we've seen teams come back. I mean, I will tell you, this is true. I wrote in November, I think, of last year, it might even have been December, that I just didn't think Tom Brady had it anymore after they got skunked. I don't know, maybe it was the Cowboys. I can't remember exactly who on a Sunday night game. And I wrote, it just doesn't have it anymore, and it's not going to happen. And then they didn't lose after I wrote that. So I'm getting ready to write a Ben Roethlisberger column.
Yeah, I thought you might be.
There's always a chance, right?
I thought you might be. Just why not? What the heck? What do you got to lose?
Yeah, I mean, I figure that if I can have that magic touch with Tom Brady, maybe. No, that's not why I'm writing it. I see things in Ben right now that are indicative of a player who just doesn't have the ability to excel. Now, can they win with him? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could, like, if the Vikings can win a game with Kirk Cousins, I mean, they can win with him, but they can't win because of him any longer.
How old has Ben? I can't remember.
That's a problem.
How old is Roethlisberger?
39.
And let's be honest, he hasn't exactly been on the TB12 diet for the last 12 years.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. During the summer, everybody was saying that he looked in so much better shape and all that. And then I saw him, and I'm like, nah, he looks about the same to me. I'm not saying, like, everybody in the world can't beat Tom Brady, and even Tom Brady wasn't Tom Brady for 3/4 of last year. So I don't know. We'll see whether or not there's anything left there. But there are problems in the way he's playing right now that are suggestive of a player who can't find his way back.
What are those famous sandwiches in Pittsburgh? The big
Permanis brothers. Yes.
Maybe
yes,
Ben's
I've been there many times, as you might be able to. As you might have guessed, I've been there many, many times.
The Colts are 0-3, and their season is basically almost over because only 6 teams, I think, in the history of the NFL have started out 0-3 and made the playoffs.
That's true. That's true, Jim. And I'm not saying that that's going to turn around, but I remember that those stats are all based on a 16-game season. So we don't have it. We don't have any frame of reference. We have no database on a 17-game season. I remember after a couple of weeks ago, after the Steelers beat Buffalo, knowing that was cool, but there's an extra game now. So did it even happen, so to speak? Like you had 30 years or 40 years of math in your head of what one win meant. relative to the season. And that math is now off a little bit. And so I don't think that the fact that 0-3 or whatever, I don't think it matters now because there's an extra game for you to get it back. I'm not sure they're getting back from 0-4. So I think it might be wise to win this Sunday.
Well, no question. And I think if it was an 0-3 team that had even a Ben Roethlisberger, but they don't even have that. So they're even more wishy-washy at quarterback than the 1-2 Steelers. So that's why at 0-3, I'm like, it does not look good for the Colts sitting at 0-3 now with you don't even know what team you're going to have for the next 14 games that you have.
Yeah, when I say that, I mean that's based on the idea that Wentz has to get healthy and good fast, and I don't know whether either of those two is likely, but I do think that it is important to remember that we're in a different era now. That 16 team math worked for 40 years, and before that, of course, it was 14, and 17 does make a difference. That's a lot of games, and there's going to be a lot of this, and the NFL media is going to tell you, no, it's all this. It's never really been like that, but it more now than ever. There are going to be ups and downs because the expansion of the season, the playoff field, it's just different now, and I don't. It's really cool for the teams that are 3-0, Denver, whoever else. Carolina, but do we really think that because they're 3-0, they've got it all figured out? I don't think so. I think they're in better shape because that's one less win they have to worry about than the teams that are 2-1 or the two that the teams are 1-2. But it just can't. There's no way it's everything now that they've expanded the schedule.
Hey, all it took was for Sam Darnold to leave the Jets to realize his potential, right? It's like unbelievable how he's looked so far.
I liked him in college. I saw him in person against Notre Dame up in South Bend, probably his junior season. I don't remember exactly what year, but I liked him. I liked his toughness. I liked his tenacity in his arm. I thought he was a good prospect. And there was a part of me that wanted the Steelers to see what it would cost to bring him in to succeed Roethlisberger. I don't think they could have afforded it. But I've always liked him. And the Jets went on the wrong road when they hired Adam Gase. There was nothing. It's not like they hired somebody who'd been wildly successful and then he just started to or took a chance on somebody and he was not good. He had been at Miami. He had a track record. It was a bad track record, and they still hired him. So they kind of deserve to an extent where they are now. And now it's up to, current group to figure out how to get out of that hole.
Yeah. And Jim, it's interesting, you were talking about the Colts. For as much tread on the tires as he has, I think they missed T.Y. a little bit. And it's kind of funny because every year we hear about some of these receivers, Pittman and Campbell. And I have this expression where I refer to the great pumpkin, right? Charlie Brown. Like we keep waiting for these guys to develop. And to me, like Paris Campbell is like the great pumpkin. We keep hearing about how great he is in training camp. And you go to a game and he has like one catch for 8 yards,
That's a great point. I like that. That great pumpkin. That's a good analogy. That's
Charlie
not one
Brown.
I've heard before.
Perfect timing of the year too. Pacers, man, gosh, why does everybody do everything on the same day? Yesterday was so busy, Mike. We had IU normally has their football media day or pressers on Monday. So 2.5 hours where all the coaches, coordinators speak. Then we had IU basketball media day yesterday. The Pacers media day was yesterday. So neither of us got to attend the Pacers media day. Didn't even really get to see or read anything about it. But they had their media day as well. Rick Carlisle back for a second act for the Pacers. And everything seems kind of positive right now around there.
Yeah, they talked a lot about the difficulties of last season with COVID and not being happy with the coaching. Obviously, they had terrible injury problems and how everything kind of disintegrated. They need greater health. I mean, TJ Warren still isn't ready to roll. They need him back. He's a real weapon. They certainly will benefit from Carlisle. I think he's a terrific coach, and they've had very good coaches there. Nate McMillan, terrific coach. And last year, it was odd for them based on the success that they'd had with their coaching over the previous decade or so. It was odd for them to take a chance, and it turned out really badly. So for them to be able to get back into having a guy who's an obvious pro, who's been a winner, a champion, it's a great decision by them to bring him in. And if they can get Karis LeVert back to being himself, the player that they traded for, and they can get TJ Warren back, I think they can. They're not going to win the NBA championship, but I think they can be interesting.
And fans back in what is it? Gamebridge Fieldhouse?
Gamebridge Fieldhouse, yes. It's its third iteration, yes.
It's funny. That's because they changed so much, that's one of the few places that I'm not going to have trouble remembering to make that change. Just like right then, hey, that's different, because I think it's because they change so frequently. It doesn't get sit in our mind long enough. But
one of the benefits of the corporate, one of the benefits of the corporate era in stadiums is that it doesn't have like this original name that you always knew and referred to it by. Like in Cincinnati,
Riverfront
you
Stadium.
had Riverfront Stadium, and then it became Synergy Field. Okay, so there was still that temptation to call it Riverfront, even though it was Synergy Field, and it was a war for a while, kind of like it is with the Raiders, and wanting to call them Oakland Raiders, and they're in Vegas now. So the good thing about it started as Conseco, then became Bankers Life. It never had that name that you associated with it historically, so it's easy as they turn over corporate sponsors to just sort of grasp onto the next one.
I think Cincinnati did it right, though, with Great American Ballpark, because it just has a great ring to it, that company. I didn't realize it was a company in the beginning that was an insurance company. I just thought they just called it the Great American Ballpark.
It took me forever to figure out that the Jazz were playing in the Delta Center and it was named after Delta Airlines. I had no idea. I mean, they just smoothed it in there so quickly that it took me like 10 years to figure out, Delta Airlines. Okay, I get it. Maybe they should have called it the Delta Airlines Center so that all of us got the message.
But I missed the days of Riverfront Stadium and just all those names, Candlestick Park, those great names where you knew those great things happened, and you'd always knew that you were right, except for if you were talking about the Yankees, because you could be talking about three different stadiums. They've had 3 Yankee stadiums?
Yeah, they built the third one in 2009. Yeah,
but I missed the days of that. I don't miss Riverfront Stadium, but I miss the names of Riverfront Stadium.
Well, that's what college hoops is for, because we still have Cameron Indoor Stadium. We still have Allen Fieldhouse. We still have Assembly Hall, although
Simon Scott Assembly Hall.
It has a name attached to it.
Not only does it have a name attached to it, though, it's got a name that you can't freaking spell.
Simon Skajot, right?
Yeah, Simon Skajot.
It is a challenge for those of us who are in the written word business. There's no question. I think that's one I have to look up almost every time I spell it.
It's the J, man. The J's in front, and I had to do it yesterday. I had to look it up. I'm like, damn it!
Is the K
look it up
or the J in front of the K?
What?
In Simon Scott, is the K? It's the K. It's SKJ, right? Or is it SKJ?
Yes, the J is in front of the. Yeah, SKJ. Remember SKJ.
Okay.
The silly stuff that you have to do. What else is going on with you, Mike?
Well, gosh, I mean, we are 2 weeks ahead of, actually less than 2 weeks ahead of Big Ten Basketball Media Day. That's next Thursday, Friday.
Yep.
So we're really closing in. College basketball practices are beginning on a lot of campuses now. I think Purdue starts bouncing basketballs today officially. So it's an exciting time. I really think it's going to be an entertaining college basketball season, and we're going to see fans back in buildings, which is great. Remember, I mean, it's hard to remember, but last season, what it was like, those gyms and how much different it was. It was great that they played, and I would not, but it's going to be really cool to have fans back in buildings and the excitement that they generated at places like Simon Scott Assembly Hall. It's going to be really cool. And I think that, speaking of, I mean, Mackey is going to be lit this year. They're going to be terrific. I think Assembly Hall is going to be that way with the new coaching staff and some new players to address some of their deficiencies from a year ago. So I think it's going to be. I don't think this Big Ten season will be as deep as it was before, but in some ways that I really believe that's better for the league. It's better for the league to have that 6, 7, 8. And then there's a little drop off. So there's somebody for 1 through 6, 7, or 8 to beat. Last year, it was almost no one for them to beat. And I think it showed in the tournament. I really believe that it wears you out. And I documented that. If you look at the deepest leagues in terms of bids in the 36 years of the 64 team type bracket, those leagues almost always struggle when they get in the tournament. They are so beaten down. So I think this year will be the race is going to be really cool with Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Rutgers, a few others. Obviously, Purdue, I mentioned, Ohio State. That group is going to have a great race, and I think they'll have a little bit of separation and maybe a chance to earn some higher seats than they did a year ago.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I don't know. We expect Michigan to be really good. We expect Purdue to be really good. Illinois and Maryland and Ohio State, don't know how good they're going to be. Don't know how good Indiana's going to be. It's going to be exciting. I think that Mike Woodson's going to do a good job of getting the Indiana fans a little revved up, getting the Simon Scott Assembly Hall revved up like it used to be, and make it more of a problem for other teams, which it hasn't been as much here in the last few years. And it used to be a serious problem for teams to come into Bloomington and have to play in Assembly Hall. It was just a difficult place to play, and it hasn't been that way for a few years.
It's true. And I think that I think we'll see a change this year. I think we will see that energy. And I think that part of it was that they were hard to watch because they struggled so much on offense that they really, they were a little less entertaining. So as a result of that, it was harder for fans to get really engaged. I think this team will be more proficient in the area of making shots and making baskets. They obviously have to meet the same defensive standards that they met over the past few years. They were good defensively. They just weren't good enough offensively to win in a league that deep.
And don't forget, they have one of the best 5 players in the league in Trace Jackson Davis, and a guy who we saw in the press room. I mean, he looks even broader and bigger, didn't he, Jim? Like he looks like
Michael Durr or
no, Trace Jackson Davis.
Oh yeah, they all do. But Michael Durr's a big guy too. They've got some big guys, and Race Thompson and Trace and Michael. They're big guys. They're strong.
Yeah, now, like I've said before on the show, is that Trace not only has to be bigger, but he has to be more versatile for his sake and for the sake of the offense. He's got to be able to play away from the bucket. And that doesn't mean he has to necessarily make a ton of threes, but he has to be able to play away from the basket and be useful there. You're still going to want him on, when you need to make a bucket or need to get fouled to keep a lead or whatever, you're still going to want him in the post. But
yeah, I think the defense is going to lead the charge for Indiana on this team, and Mike Woodson, and that makes sense with Mike Woodson being a Bob Knight guy. And I think that's going to lead them away. Looking forward to it. What do you have coming up that people need to read? Did you have anything out new?
Well, I did do a piece late last week, and I think it's still germane. It was in anticipation of the Brian Kelly trying to break Newt Rockney's record. But there's a lot of interesting insight in there from Brian about the job. And you remember, this is one of the interesting things about that record is he has 106 wins, and that's the most all time at one of the, if not the greatest school in college football history. 106 wins is not hard. I mean, I looked up, there's like 160 coaches nearly who have 106 Division I wins in the history of the sport. So really interesting that would be the record. And of course, that goes back to Era leaving early, Holtz leaving early because of the pressure of the job, the unique nature of the job. And so Brian Kelly talked about that with me. I got a chance to run up there last Wednesday and sat down with him for a short period, and he was very open and honest. I only had 15 minutes. We ran over to 17, but he answered every question with a really on point answer, made for a good story. And that's still up there. I'll retweet it when we get finished, so anybody listening can find it easily. But that's out there. And then I'll be writing. I was serious. I am writing about Roethlisberger today. And not so that all of a sudden it turns, but if it happens to be a fortunate byproduct of it, I'll take it.
I read the Brian Kelly story on Friday, and it was tremendous. Very well.
Everything is tremendous.
Yeah.
Being a soccer guy, are you a Roy Kent fan?
Oh, love Roy Kent. Roy Kent is one of my favorite TV characters in history.
Me too. And I love him to death.
So when he won the Emmy last Saturday or Sunday, a little fist pump. He is just tremendous. He comes on the screen and I laugh. He doesn't have to say anything at this point. It's such a great character. And I know he's based to an extent on a guy, not on a soccer player from Manchester United named Roy Keane, who was this hard guy, took no prisoners on the field or off, and then became an analyst, a pundit, as they say over in England. He didn't give up. He didn't give it up after 2 weeks, but he has done some coaching as well. So that's where they got the idea for him. But they've turned him into an absolutely fantastic character, and I was absolutely delighted to see him win the Emmy.
Mike, brother, appreciate you as always. I'm trying to do my imitation of Roy.
You can only do that if you use certain words, Jim, which you probably don't want to do on your show.
Yeah, we're not allowed to use those on air. Have a great one, brother. Looking forward to seeing you. I'm sure I'll see you next Friday at Big Ten Media Days.
I will see you next week, guys. Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. The great Mike DeCourcy from
Thanks,
Sporting News joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. We've got plenty more. Back with it. Brought to you by our good friends at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. If you're down south, go see my friend Dr. J for that championship-winning smile. We're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant. Whether you're looking...
Great segment.
It was a great segment. If you, I don't know if I told you this earlier, but I do have your question from the Mike Woods impressor if you want to talk about any of that.
Well, we will. We've got another hour.
I usually don't drink coffee during the show, but I think I should more often because I am jazzed up now.
Welcome to my world.
What is your world?
To my world.
Drinking coffee in the morning?
You had some, what was it?
What is it?
That was good. This is not The Voice.
Oh, I was referring to Kevin earlier. Okay.
Please, no singing. This is a respectable sports show.
Oh, come on. I did it during the break.
The reason I don't put some of these up is we're off topic when I see them. So, yeah. We gotta, man. I wish you could pull up the clip of Mitchell saying that he has never heard of
Bob Seger.
I
mean, if it takes the fact that it's an hour-long show, it'll probably take forever to download. So I don't know if I want to mess with that.
Well, you don't have to download the whole damn show, do you?
To get the clip, yes, I do. That's why I was able to get that Hips Don't Lie thing really fast because I found a 30-second version of it on YouTube.
It's hysterical. Eli's going to be on Dancing with the Stars, I think.
Is he really?
No, I'm saying that he should be after that clip. They should get him on it.
I saw Dan Dockich is joining the Outkick team and said he's leaving ESPN.
Well,
is he leaving his show?
Leaving ESPN, or is he being shown the door?
But he threw some shade at Matt Jones on his way out, which I thought was interesting.
Really?
He did.
What did he say?
I don't know what he said specifically, but there was an article, and Matt Jones quote tweeted it and said something. I don't remember what it was, but
so did
I'm sure our boy. I bet Ross Bunnell knows. He usually has our Twitter feed ready for us. I'm sure he could let us know what it said.
Is he leaving his show in Indy, or is he still doing the show in Indy?
I bet he's still in Indy, but he might not be doing. I mean, I'm sure he's not with ESPN because he said he wasn't. But
No,
I don't know where
his local show on the Fan. That's what I mean.
Oh, I don't know.
Because I saw that's like 9 to 11 every morning. So
who knows?
He's going to be doing that, and he could do his noon to 3. But we don't get 1070 anymore, so I don't listen to him. I used to listen to him all the time, even though I hated him. But that's part of the reason why I listen to him.
All right, here we go.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
Change the sponsor.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back on this Tuesday, Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. If you're looking for a home in the Indy area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore's got over 2 decades of experience, and that could make the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore at Cheryl Sizemore at IndyHomePros.com, or you can get her at 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax. Help you get that house you need. Kevin, if you need a house, boom, there you go.
Townhouse
Market's tough. I think lumber's back up, you can get lumber again. It was weird. The world just went through this weird phase, man.
Well, our buddy, I saw our buddy Adam York, at Yogi's, and I guess they had the issue with the microchips, right? Where you can
that's been going on for a while
with the cars. Yeah.
That's been an issue. Car lots, a lot are empty.
Ross Bonnell, Matt Jones, Liam were crap at TV.
Yeah, I'm not.
Ross also let us know about Karis LeVert. Apparently, has a stress fracture.
Yeah. I can't believe that Mike didn't see that, and I forgot to bring it back up with him. Yeah,
that's rough.
A stress fracture it doesn't matter where it is. A stress fracture, he's gonna have to let that heal.
Yeah.
So don't know. We'll have to find out how long. And a lot of comments we were talking about that they're talking about changing the name. Mike Woodson will change the name for Bob Knight. They're not going to change the name of Assembly Hall. It would have been great to have it named Knight Hall, but that's not going to happen. The court already has a name. It's Branch McCracken Court, who won 2 national championships. You're not taking a 2-time national championship coach's name off of the floor. But I could see the Simons doing something like that, maybe.
Well, the statue, right? They've approached him about a statue, and he doesn't want.
Well, they did initially. He wouldn't let them. He would not. When they did the renovations and the statues are out in front of Assembly Hall now. There's one with the 76, the bulk of the 76 team.
Yeah,
they wanted to put him in that, and he would not allow them to put him in there.
Yeah.
I'm sure that will change that now that, but
do you think, he's 81 now. Do you think he'll be alive to see it if they do a statue?
It depends on when they do it. Not if they wait 10 years, maybe not.
He's in shaky health, but because it's interesting because, for the Mets, it was like Tom Seaver. They waited and waited. And they're finally doing a statue this year, and he's not alive to see it because, he died of COVID. He had Lyme disease. He was in a nursing home because he had dementia at the end, and he died at 75, unfortunately. But, hopefully it'll be something that Knight will be alive to see. That would be nice.
Yesterday we talked about it being media day for IU basketball. They took all kinds of photos, but they took some goofy photos. I'm looking at one of them. It's kind of funny, except for, that's probably not good. There, I'm not going to point it out, but one thing in there that probably, that one. But, I'm going to not even comment on that. Well, yeah, why not? Who is that? Looks like they are playing air guitar, but they're for the body of their guitar, they're using
Did Logan Duncombe cut his mullet? He didn't have his mullet, right?
That's true.
Yeah, I noticed.
How you gonna sell mullet T-shirts without a mullet?
Yeah, he didn't have his mullet yesterday.
I knew something was different about him yesterday, and damn it!
Cut. Yeah, he didn't.
Well, that would have been a great question to ask.
I know, and nobody did. And I thought about it, and I just
how the hell do you sell a mullet T-shirt without having a mullet?
Yeah, it doesn't have the mullet anymore. But practice starts Wednesday. I asked about the point guards. That's going to be interesting. I think Xavier Johnson is a clear leader in the clubhouse, but I guess Christian Lander has come on a little bit and is playing well, and that's going to be interesting to see and develop, like who really takes the reins, or if they do it by committee.
Here's a great question from Jennifer. How many more games does Indiana football win this season?
I'm going to say 4.
That's what I'm going to say. Exactly.
I'm going to say 4. Yeah. I think they'll beat
Minnesota, Purdue.
Purdue.
They're going to have to beat Purdue at Purdue.
Yeah.
They'll beat Rutgers.
Maryland. At Maryland.
Michigan State at home.
Or Michigan State at home. Yeah.
I don't think they beat Maryland on the road, to be honest with you. Not the way Maryland is playing offensively.
Tagovailoa looks great. Looks like he's really taking a step forward at quarterback. I mean, he looks really good right now.
What's that?
Tagovailoa. Yeah.
Oh, Tagovailoa.
Tagovailoa, yeah, to his younger brother. He looks really
he's looking like Tua.
Yeah, he's playing really well right now. And they have good receivers. They have Raheem Jarrett, Dante Demas. That'll be tough in Maryland. I think they either win. Yeah, I would say they either beat Michigan State at home or Maryland on the road. They win one of those two.
The thing that Indiana has going for it is their defense.
Yeah.
Their offense is still, if they can get to be a better than average, consistent offense, just better than average, they'll win their 6 and maybe 7 games.
I'll tell you what Indiana else has going for it. They have a pretty good kicker, right? In Charles Campbell, really good kicker, who saved their bacon in that Western Kentucky game. I mean, if he misses one of those 4 field goals, do they lose the game? They had the ball the last possession. They probably could have driven down and maybe gotten back in field goal range or whatever. I mean, they were moving the ball at will in that game. But you were talking about the defense, and the defense. I know Western Kentucky's unconventional, but the defense showed some holes in that game, and the defense is not good. Charlton Morton has to figure this out. The defense is not good at the end of halves. Even Idaho, 3 straight games, they've given up touchdowns in the final 2 minutes. I don't know if it's fatigue.
Well, part of that, though, the offense has put them in bad positions. In the Cincinnati game,
that targeting thing was the targeting thing. I mean, they were still at the 20-yard line. They still have to drive 70 yards.
I'm not even talking about the targeting anymore. I'm talking about the Indiana offense putting the defense in bad positions, turning the ball over.
But those 3 drives at the end of the first half were 70-yard drives. They were not on the other end of the field.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So I'm saying that the defense, they come out like gangbusters. They play great.
They get tired.
Yeah, but come on.
No. I'm not excusing it. It's a problem that has to be fixed. You've got to fix that with depth and not leave. I think it sounds like they're leaning on guys for too long instead of giving them a breather.
Fight through the fatigue. Fight through the fatigue,
baby.
They've also had injuries. I mean, and that's a fair point. You're talking about the depth. I mean, I think some of the injuries have really hurt the secondary in particular. So Jennifer says 2 more games they're going to win.
Yeah, that would be shocking. I don't see that.
Put the bloom off the rose for Tom Allen, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think they're going to get a little better, but they're not going to get. Well, they're going to go as their offense goes. Basically, that's it.
Yeah.
Other Big Ten games coming up of importance. Let's see. Last week, anything happened? What are the standings right now? That pulled up.
It's still very, very early, but Michigan obviously beat Rutgers. Although Rutgers gave them a game up in the Big House, 2013. That was a close game. And then Michigan State really struggled at home against Nebraska, but they got the big punt return in the
Nebraska is a lot better than they were.
Yeah, but it's always with Nebraska. It's always the little things. It's the details that really hurt them. as per usual with Scott Frost right now. But yeah, the special teams, you give up a punt return for a touchdown. Of course, Indiana gave up a kick return for a touchdown against Cincinnati also. So.
All right, the top 5 teams in the Big Ten East are 15-1. The top 5 teams in the Big Ten West, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12-9.
Yep.
12-9. They've lost 9 games. That is the
you wanna know
disparity
what,
in these
Jim,
divisions.
too?
When the hell are they going to fix this?
Yeah, but you want to know what, Jim, too? Look at this, compare the schedules. The West have played tougher non-conference schedules than the East. And Indiana's played a tougher.
Well, they have to because they don't play anybody once they get to conference play.
Michigan has played, 3 cupcakes. Rutgers played a bunch of cupcakes. Maryland played some. I mean, Indiana's played, Ohio State played Oregon, but Indiana has played the toughest non-conference schedule of the East. I mean, they've lost.
Who's Illinois played? Who's Minnesota played? Who's Northwestern played?
Minnesota lost to Bowling Green, and Minnesota had that early.
That's not good. That's a MAC team. They should not have lost to
But
Bowling
Wisconsin
Green.
played Notre Dame. Purdue played Notre Dame.
Minnesota shut out Colorado 30-0. Just throw that out there. But they followed it up with that loss to
always
Bowling
has
Green.
been, and it continues to be a stark difference between divisions. We already know that.
And Iowa beat Colorado State, but Colorado State had Iowa on the ropes for a half. Yeah.
I think it's easy to say 5 out of the top 6 teams in the Big Ten are in the East.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you just have to fight through it. It helps you in bowl game. It helps you, get to the mountaintop, You can cry and say it's not fair, whatever, life isn't fair. If you're Indiana and you're on the cusp and you're talking about going to the Big Ten title game, just go out and do it. Go out and beat those teams. You're going to have to face them eventually.
Let's see. Last week was week 4, right?
Hey, go ahead and take your break. We're late. Chronic's waiting.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Let's go ahead and take a break. Indiana Sports Beat brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty from Cheryl Sizemore. Make sure you reach out to Cheryl Sizemore at IndyHomePros.com. We're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Hey, Hoosier fans. Sorry, brother. I got jawing.
Not a problem, man.
How you feeling?
I got my whole ass kicked today in physical therapy, but other than that, I'm doing great.
Hey, how's that diabetic dog doing? I still love that story.
I'll tell you what, man. We just found out a week or 2 ago.
Don't waste a good story.
No, he's going to be blind within a year. Apparently, that is par for the course. They get a glaucoma or cataracts or something.
That's really sad. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like a $3,000 to $5,000 surgery per eye if you want to continue his eyesight. So I don't know. I'm gonna do some research.
We had a family cat when I was a kid. Got hit by a car and lost one eye, but lived another 5 years with one eye. We had a one-eyed cat for 5 years.
One-eyed cat.
Apparently, like blindness isn't that debilitating for him because their nose and their ears are so good. But
yeah,
he's dumb enough with all the senses about him. God knows what that's going to look like. So I don't know. We're going to see if we see what some options are available. Other than that, he's doing good. He's getting stressed right now. We're heading to. I'm going to be out next week. We're heading to Florida this weekend, and he is already on guard, seeing the bag start to come out, starting to pack.
All right. Where are you going in Florida? What part of Florida?
Same place we were last fall or earlier this spring, I guess. We've been there now twice in a row. We're going to Cape San Blas. It's about an hour east of Panama City. It's real remote. Florida's Forgotten Coast is its nickname. Yeah. Just outside of Port St. Joe.
Down by Port St. Joe, yeah.
So it's 10 miles east of Mexico Beach. Yeah. So they just got decimated a couple years ago by Michael, but everything is brand spanking new. It's pretty remote, which is good seeing as there's no open ICU beds within 200 miles of where we're staying right now. So, we're going to do some fishing, some swimming, some paddling, some biking, and just chill out for a little bit.
Yeah, you could probably get some great shrimp restaurants too. Oysters, yeah.
There's a place, St. Joe Shrimp Company.
Yeah.
Oh, you muted yourself, Chronic. I can't unmute you. There we go.
I got it. My face hit it. Now the St. Joe Shrimp Company is about 3 miles in either direction of it. There's 2 of them, and they've got shrimp that was in the Gulf 12 hours ago.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Like the oysters and the shrimp and the seafood there in the Gulf is like
shrimp on the ball, eh?
All right, here we go. 10 seconds.
Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat coming to you here on this Tuesday by the great folks at Southern Stone Restaurant. Make sure you get out, have yourself a great meal, whether it's a celebration or just a relaxing night away from the kitchen. Don't make the same old choices. Try something new and fresh. Southern Stone Restaurant, Rogers and Patterson here in Bloomington. Southern Stone offers comfort food with a Southern charm. You can sit outside on the patio or in their spacious seating inside. You can also catch the IU football and basketball coaches shows there. Joined now by Chronic Hoosier. How's it going, brother?
It's going good, man. It's going good. It's a gorgeous week here in town. Hysteria is on deck. Victory flag is flying. It's a good week to be a Hoosier.
How's the knee going? Rehabbing?
Rehab is good. Unfortunately, I'm going to have another Hoosier joining me in the surgical rehab world. So unfortunately, to see DJ Matthews suffer the same fate. But it's going. I guess it's part of life. I said it Saturday. I'll say it till the day I die. The knee is just such a stupid freaking joint. It's really incomprehensible that it continues to pose so many people so many problems. But it is what it is, man. And, like everything though, it mends up and it heals. Good to see Michael Penix looking good on his knee last week. It gives me some hope that maybe there's a little light at the end of the tunnel that I may be round back into form at some point. But it's I'll say this much, man. It's not an easy battle back.
Well, I know you're not a golfer, mainly because you don't have time. But are you a golfer?
I'm a drinker who occasionally goes around and likes to put balls in the woods.
So yeah, well, I was going to say I have this. I don't walk when I play golf because it's too damn tiring. But I bought one of those at an auction, charity auction, one of those motorized push carts.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need to rehab your knee. I took it out. I like 8 holes the other day. I'm like, whew, I need to donate this to somebody who needs a rehab. It's great exercise, but I'm like, I like the golf cart a lot better. I'll let you borrow it any. Oh, we lost him. I'll let him borrow it. Oh, he's coming back. I'll let him borrow it anytime he wants.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can use it, Kevin.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, you're not like Ken Ventura. You don't walk the course, huh?
Well, it's something you got to get used to. I'll be honest. It's something that I need to do, and it's great exercise. It's great exercise. Boy, you got to ease back into that.
No question. No, I walked the Beeline Trail sometimes.
Have you walked that? I was thinking I've never walked that. If you're not around Bloomington, the Beeline Trail. How does it go? Where does it go from and to?
Well, I usually pick it up because, I live off 2nd. So down by the hospital, you can pick it up at the Kroger there.
Well, I know that. I'm just saying, I'm wondering how far it goes and where to.
I mean, if you go from the Kroger to Country Club Road, it's 3 miles. And if you go the other direction through downtown.
Is Chronic back with us?
All the way up, it's another 2.5, 3 miles. Yeah. So it's like 6 miles all told.
Chronic's there.
I'm back. I don't know what happened. I just jumped off my network here, and I'm going on the cell here.
He heard me talking about letting him use that walking push cart, and he said, "I'm out of here."
Man, I didn't know it at the time, but the week I messed myself up. I had a celebration of life golf scramble up in the region, and I ended up doing 4.5 miles on a broken leg and a blown ACL we carted it, but that's the way my golf game is you still walk 4 miles because the balls are all over the place. But that's been my last outing, my only outing this year.
You're not lying. Yeah, Indiana basketball media day yesterday. We got to speak with the players for the first time in 2 years, face to face, coaches as well, which was good. Kevin pointed out something a minute ago that I didn't realize. But Logan Duncombe is mulletless.
Yeah, it's all business now. No party in the back anymore.
There you go. But how you gonna sell mullet shirts with no mullet?
That's the risk you run when you brand yourself based off of a hairstyle, man.
It's like having ham and no burger, man.
Sad to see it go, but you know what? It's probably not a bad look for the freshmen. I certainly heard plenty enough of the old timers complaining, that whenever hair's touching anybody's ears or their collars and all that. So I don't know. I'll say this much, man. I've been somebody that's once worn long hair. It's hot. It's really hot. So I can't blame the kid for lighting it up a little bit. But that was a heck of a look and a heck of a vibe he had going. So curious to see where he takes. The thing that stood out to me about Logan is when you saw him in that lineup, just how tall he was compared to all the other teammates. I don't know if he's grown some since this summer. I'm not quite sure he's done growing though.
Indiana's got some height, Kevin. I was talking about that this year. You got Logan Duncombe, you got Race Thompson, you got Michael Durr, you got Trace Jackson Davis.
There's something to be said for that too. And that, if you remember 2 years ago, they were a much better, I thought, rebounding team because they had Brunk. And if you have a guy like Durr that can come in and you have some size, I think that'll help, particularly, if this team, now you're going to hope this team shoots better. But what I liked about the team 2 years ago as opposed to last year was 2 years ago, they could clean up those misses and get some offensive rebound. And I think this team projects to do a little bit of the same if they can take that size out on the court.
Hoosier Hysteria coming up October 2nd, Chronic. Fans back in Assembly Hall for that after a hiatus because of COVID. What do you think it's going to be like? Which I know it's always big, but there was a time where that would sell out. Not sell out, but capacity crowd, rather.
It apexed early in the Crean era, during the Cody and the Jordan Halls time. It's still a great event. It's a great opportunity for fans to get into the hall. It's one of those where, with the exception of the courtside level, it's general admission seating. So, it gives a lot of people an opportunity both to get into the gym, get close to the team. It's become more of a production than a basketball practice. But it is what it is, man. It's a time for the team to get out there, feel some love. For a lot of these guys, particularly with this roster with so many new faces, it's the first opportunity that they get to feel that energy in the gym and just, get a true taste of how special Assembly Hall can be when you're wearing the jersey, when the lights are on you. So it's just a celebration of the season start anymore. They're going to do the skills competition, probably some dunking. I don't know what the format's going to look like this year. But it's going to be a big love fest, and I'm okay with that, man. It's a fun time to kick the season off. It's a fun time to gather together with your friends and to get back into the gym for the first time in a long, long time and see the boys and the girls. We've got we're returning an Elite Eight team on the women's side this year that's bringing back all the starters. So excited to kick all of it off. Excited to kick off the Mike Woodson era. Excited to see exactly what the ceiling is for the women this year. Excited to see what type of contributions we get from a lot of those new faces. I think this is a program that's going to be, obviously it's a fresh start, but I think you're going to see somewhat of a team influx where there's going to be some guys that maybe they rely on heavy now, bringing some guys up, getting them set up so that they're going to be in a position to be the man in the coming years. I'm looking at Christian Lander. I'm looking at Anthony Leal and Trey Galloway, as well as the freshmen, and just seeing exactly what their ceiling is and how they can fit in now and how they can develop and grow into the future. But more than anything, man, I'm just ready to start the journey again. It's been a long, long time without good hoops in Assembly Hall, and hopefully we have a swift return to those days.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to just the fans, the noise, the atmospheres being around, and we'll get a good taste of that on October 2nd. We've seen it with football. Been good so far. The football team now has to continue to move forward. A game this week. They went on the road last weekend and had one that's probably tougher than it really should have been. They beat Western Kentucky 33-31, but now they've got to go play big boy football and head to Happy Valley and take on a Penn State team that's looked pretty good, 4-0 on the season, and waiting for a little bit of revenge from last year.
Yeah, we're walking into a game this week where right now, at least, it seems like this could be the cream of the crop in the Big Ten. Michigan certainly looking pretty good as well this year. Some of the stumbles against Rutgers aside, it's tough to have a lot of super meaningful takeaways after Western Kentucky. I think at the end, I felt like Penix played his best game of the season, both in some of his completions as well as his decision making. No turnovers is absolutely a step he needed to start heading towards after kind of a bumpy start. This is a receiving core that is going to be down one of their biggest performers or producers, with DJ Matthews going out with the ACL injury. They got to find a way to start hauling these balls in, because while you may survive a couple of drop passes against a Western Kentucky, against an Idaho, I don't know that you're going to have those opportunities against a team like Penn State, particularly on the road. So they got to clean a lot of stuff up. Hopefully they can keep the run game going and at least achieve some balance there. The defense, I saw a lot of people complaining about what they allowed against Western Kentucky. I don't know that we're ever going to see that again this conference season. My big concern is that it didn't open up too many vulnerabilities for other teams to start exploiting, because they certainly spread us pretty thin there. But at the end of the day, they got stops when they needed them late, and allowed the offense to withstand some stalled drives and some 3s instead of 7s on the board. And end of the day, it's a W, and it's a sorely needed W for this basketball team, because there's not a whole lot of room for error from this point forward for the rest of the season if they still have bowl aspirations.
Yeah,
No
looking
question.
forward. Go ahead, Kitten.
Yeah, no, I thought Chronic, what was interesting was for as well as Penix was between the 20s, I think the red zone was still a bit of the issue, and some of the deep balls just aren't there yet. And, they had to rely on a lot of long drives. But, the other thing, too, is, Stephen Carr ran the ball reasonably well. That's certainly a positive. So they had a little bit of balance to their offense with some of these long drives as well. It wasn't just Penix throwing the football.
Yeah, I thought the run game was pretty effective all in all. I thought they did a good job of trying to balance it. I love to see Sheridan kind of mixing up some of the play calling, particularly starting drives off with some passing as opposed to those inside the tackle runs. I thought there was a lot of positives to take out of it from the offensive side. And at the end of the day, like I said earlier too, the defense did enough to withstand it. And while they certainly bent, they didn't break when it mattered most.
Yeah, they did. That's kind of what I think I sent out a tweet to that effect. They bent but didn't break. Indiana offensively did a decent job when they had the ball of not scoring quickly. They ran some drives. They had the ball. The time of possession was way lopsided, but partially that was because Western would score so damn fast, which is not a good thing. But for a team that scores as much as Western does and how quickly they can, to hold them to 31 points, probably pretty good.
No, absolutely. And, again, at the end of the day, this was one where I didn't feel like they were having much luck at all stopping them, even providing meaningful resistance. So for them to kind of find their footing late and to get the stops when they did, it was, for a game that had a lot of disappointing moments for the defense, I thought it was a great way to cap it. Crazy heartened by the performance of Micah McFadden. I mean, you knew he was going to come back hungry after getting tossed in the Cincy game, and just absolutely showed what an impact he can have on the defensive side of the ball.
Absolutely. Well, what's next for you, man, besides rehabbing? Are you going to be able to make it to, will you be at Hoosier Hysteria, or are you going to be out of town?
I'm going to be southbound for Hysteria. We are heading out Friday after work, pointing the car south towards the Gulf of Mexico, and going to be down there Saturday through next Saturday. So I'm going to miss it this year. A little bummed because we previously had been holding the tailgate podcast before Hysteria kicked off. So trying to figure out how we can make up for that this year. But I'm excited to get back and watch it. We're going to be following from the Gulf. Other than that, man, I'm just, fingers crossed here for this weekend. This is one of those where, I think a lot of people are writing this off as an automatic L for the football team. They got a winning streak against this team. That's all I'm saying. They know how to beat them.
No, if you could turn over Clifford, I think, and that's what they did last year. Remember, they got the 3 interceptions, and this year only 5 takeaways in four games. So if you can turn him over, you might have a shot.
No, and that's the one thing I think the defense has yet to put back together that we saw last year from them is their ability to get those turnovers, create some of those takeaways. And if ever there were a time to get that back in gear, a team like Penn State certainly can provide a wonderful opportunity to give your offense some more chances.
Well, brother, I hope the knee keeps coming around. And anytime you need that pushing walk or that electric walking cart, I got it for you right here.
I'll tell you what, man, what I need is I need something that can get my happy ass in and out of bed a little bit easier. That's the hardest part right now is whenever you've been inactive for a while, just getting back up, getting warm, getting moving again.
Dude,
so
just put a screw over, just screw a screw in over your bed and put a little deal on it. Pull yourself right out.
It's something to consider. It's certainly something.
Hey, man, appreciate you as always. And if you're in the market for a new Honda, folks, make sure you go to Andy Moore Honda Bloomington. They've got the deals for you. How about a brand new 2021 or 2022 Honda Pilot? All the trims, 0% APR financing for 48 months, $0 down. Or how about a brand new 2021 Honda Passport? Also 0% APR financing over 48 months, $0 down. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurants. Whether you're looking for...
Did you say restaurants on that?
Is that not how you say restaurant?
No, I didn't know if you said restaurant or restaurants.
No, with no S.
Okay.
That's correct, right?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You are correct, sir.
I did not know that.
I did not know that.
That is
You have to be
wild,
old to know those jokes.
Yeah. And some wild and
I did not know that. You got to do it correctly. I did not know that. You got to do the facial.
Yeah.
Who was
man? He was so good.
Who was doing that impersonation?
That was Dana Carvey and Phil Hartman were doing the Ed McMahon and the Johnny Carson show. Yeah.
Who was it?
It was Dana Carvey was doing Johnny Carson.
God, I gotta look that up.
And Phil Hartman was doing Ed McMahon. That was in the early 90s.
You are correct, sir.
That was so good. Yeah. That SNL cast.
Know that.
That SNL cast in the early 1990s was really good. That was Phil Hartman and Mike Myers. Remember?
Oh, dude, they had some great ones.
Yeah.
Even the Putzes were good. David Spade,
John Lovitz.
Oh, yeah, he was funny.
Yeah.
Acting.
Michael Myers was really good though.
Yeah,
his Saturday Night Live skits were great.
Well, he's played so many. He was in. He's been in some movies that I don't know if people really realize that that's him.
Yeah.
He was in the Queen movie, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, he played one of the record. Yeah,
the guy with the old beard.
Yeah.
Bloody Bismillah, what is this rubbish?
But the Austin Powers movies were great too. I mean, they were just classics.
What is Bismillah?
Yeah. But
what the hell are they talking about?
I used to love when some of his Saturday Night Live skits when he did Sprockets and Lothar the Hill People. And,
Sprockets.
Now it's the part in Sprockets when we dance. Luke and Von Monkey, touch my monkey.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That was so funny.
All right, here we go.
Civic LX front-wheel drive lease for just $180 a month, or a new 2021 Honda Accord LX front-wheel drive lease for just $270 a month. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the good folks down at Bubba's. This segment's brought to you by the good folks at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Right off of I-65. Made fresh every day, man.
Good burgers, I bet.
Oh, it's good everything. I'm not lying. Their food is whatever you get is good because it's made fresh every day. And that's the truth. And let me tell you, there's a freaking difference. You can taste the difference in places, the great restaurants like Southern Stone's a great restaurant. But of course, that's incredible. Bubba's is more of a sports bar restaurant, but
yeah,
it's as far as food, it's a subsidiary of Texas Roadhouse. So
yeah,
tells you that. Oh man, this weekend, what do we got going as far as games, big time games to look at in the Big Ten, around college football, period? What game are you looking forward to, not to seeing because you're going to be busy, but what game are you looking forward to in the Big Ten or in
Notre Dame Cincinnati will be interesting. That's going to be an interesting game.
What is
Notre Dame Cincinnati? That will be an interesting game.
Now, see, I think, and I didn't think Notre Dame was that good until, well, they haven't been. Their last game, they played much better. But Cincinnati is not. I think, they're playing in South Bend, right?
Yeah, I'm playing in South Bend. Yeah,
I'm going to be surprised if Notre Dame does not win by more than 17 points.
Yeah,
Indiana should have beat that team by 17, and they're average at best on offense.
Yeah, Indiana will kick themselves for that game. That was a game.
That's going to be the game that
was.
If they were to miss bowl eligibility this year, that is a game that is going to haunt them. Yes. It's just a game that they shouldn't have lost. It's a non-conference game that you lost on top of that. So
it's amazing, though. We went into the season thinking, they're going to take the next step, and this is, and now we're talking about bowl eligibility. I mean, how much is, but, listen, if they could spring an upset at Penn State, then the whole narrative changes. Then you start football. So much of football is momentum and belief, too, because, you could get in a position where, say, if they lose their next three and then they go into November 2-5, then you could mail it in too, because guys are guys going to continue to push, through what do we call it, through that adversity when they go to Maryland, when they face Michigan and so forth and everything like that. I think they really need to win at least one of these next three, whether that's Michigan State and homecoming, or they spring an upset at Penn State, or they somehow find a way to beat Ohio State, which is a team that's vulnerable defensively. But certainly has a high-powered offense that can outscore you.
Yeah, looking forward to it. But
yeah, I think you got to get one of these next three, though. Otherwise, the season completely goes.
But see, that's been the first three games. Well, you got to win this. Well, they didn't.
Well, they got 2-2. You would have hoped for 3-1, but they got 2-2.
And part of the thing is, like, I didn't realize how good the Big Ten was going to be this year. I don't think anybody did. No one expected the rise that Michigan State has made. The Big Ten East they don't have, and I don't know that they don't. College football is a little more parity this year. They're still, Alabama's still going to be Alabama, but Clemson's not Clemson.
How about that? The curse of John Blau, right? John Blau goes to cover Clemson, and they've lost a couple of games.
Who said that?
are good. I'm saying that to Kirsten John Blau.
My God, we're going to have to get John on for that next time.
John Blau goes to Clemson and they lose a few games.
You said that. I didn't.
Yeah,
just
John
kidding.
Blau. No,
John's a good guy.
It's a good joke. Yeah. Well, they've come to cover Indiana. They've gone to 2 straight bowl games in football, so I've certainly been a good luck charm for them.
Yep.
But we will see.
Pointing out that the arrested football players from Kentucky they'll be at the game for Florida. Kentucky playing Florida this week. That streak's over. They had lost like 28 in a row, but they ended that streak finally.
Yeah, Kentucky's got Florida. Wan'Dale Robinson, right? Doing some good things at Kentucky. You've got Arkansas at Georgia, and Georgia is Arkansas' team is playing very well. So it'll be interesting.
How about the linebacker from Ohio State, Kayvon Pope?
Yeah, I heard about that. He quit in the middle of the game or something.
Yeah. He didn't just quit in the middle of the game. He was going in on a substitution, and the guys on the field, I think, waved him back. That pissed him off. And the next thing, he's going nuts.
Yeah.
He throws his gloves into the stands. Then officials are Ohio State trying to calm him down. Then he's told to leave the sideline. On his way to the locker room, he tries to take his jersey off to throw it into the stands. They get him to stop, and then he sends a tweet out saying F Ohio State, and that was deleted. But his name appeared yesterday in the transfer portal as an undergraduate transfer candidate.
Yeah,
someone will take him, even though he did that crazy thing. Because let me tell you, that's crazy. I shouldn't use the word crazy. I apologize. That's nutty. I'm just whatever word I can use. It doesn't offend people. That's a thing today, man. You don't know what you can say.
Well, certainly,
offend everybody.
Yeah.
But when you do something like that, you got issues. There's issues. You got issues, and so
insubordinate for sure. Also. Not a good look, certainly not a good look for the program either. Certainly, where's the discipline if some player feels like that they can do something like that on the field? What does it say about, Ryan Day right now and what kind of control he has over his own players?
He did tweet an apology Sunday saying he made a mistake and know that I need to be better and do better. I'm going to take this time to reflect and work on my mental well-being. Well, that's all it's exactly what he needs to do, I would say.
I had a parent of a former Florida basketball player tell me this when I was covering the Gators. The frontal lobe of the brain doesn't fully develop until 26 years old. So there's a lot of, we get on things for what college kids do. And they're
taking a pounding on that frontal lobe, man.
But it is something, there is something to be said for maturity and making mistakes, and people don't fully, and I know it sounds like an excuse and so forth, but, and I was saying no excuses earlier about something, but, kids are going to screw up and they're going to do dumb things, and you just hope that they learn from it and they mature as they get older.
How about Florida State off to their worst start, 0-4 since 1974, after nearly beating Notre Dame to open the season? Yeah. Should have beat Notre Dame, probably.
And they gave Louisville a game. They got down early and they came back, but there was just something missing there. And Mike Norvell, it'll be interesting to see if he's on the hot seat year 2. And if Mike Norvell is on the hot seat and something happens and they decide to make a change again this offseason, do they go after a guy who has Florida ties, who coaches here? Because they kind of made a little bit of a pass at him the first time and they chose not to take him.
But would he? I don't know that he's interested in that.
I think Florida State would be intriguing to him. Because
not now, right now, absolutely not. There's no way that he would leave right now. Timing wise,
what if this season goes 6-6 as it's projecting to go?
He's not going to quit and walk away. How much money is Florida State going to throw at him?
It's not just the money. And I mean, he's making $4.9 million. I'd say they have to throw $6 million a year at him. But I think the bigger issue is the talent of kid that he could get.
He's already getting that talent and coming to Indiana. He's got more.
No, he's not getting quite that talent.
Well, not yet, but you've got to win. If you win, he'll get the talent, because look how the talent has changed as the winning has changed.
He could really clean up on Florida, recruiting Florida, if he was at Florida State.
Then why isn't Florida State and Miami and Florida doing that? Because they're not doing that. They're not kicking anybody's butt in recruiting, and they're in the damn state of Florida.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but too, the other thing about recruiting is it's not just the stars or whatever; it's the evaluation piece of it, stuff, and
the development.
And the development of it, yeah. And I think he could probably get more athletes down there than he could here in Indiana.
But again, I'm not saying that sometime in the future, but right now, I don't see there's any way that that's possible. Why? That's a rebuilding job, number one, and he is in the midst of building a program here, and I truly believe he is committed to that. He's from here. He's got a staff that has families here that I'm not saying that again, that it would never, not now is not, I don't see that happening within 4 years. I just know
last spring, I talked to someone very close to the football program who said, kind of braced me a little for the season, just basically saying what Tom Allen doing right now is in the Big Ten is going to be incredibly hard to sustain.
Well, of course it is. It's the Big Ten. Look at Northwestern. Last year they're Western Division champs. This year they're Western Division chumps.
Yeah,
easy come, easy go. But you're in the but being in and that's in the Big Ten West. So if you're in the Big Ten East, life is very, very difficult because you're not only recruiting against but playing against Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and now Rutgers and Maryland.
Last year, they showed that they could go toe-to-toe with Penn State, with Ohio State, with Michigan. But are we finding out now, was that because of COVID, and was that because of the fact that those powerhouses didn't have the proper offseason, or was it, was it really Indiana rising up to that level?
No, I think it's a combination of simple things that we've already talked about. Michael Penix is not playing to the level he played. You've got I don't know. I don't know that Nick Sheridan his play calling is problematic or not, because I don't know that maybe he's calling plays that he feels he has to call for what he has right now. So I can't say that he's a problem right now. I can't. I know a lot of people. I've seen a lot of mentions. Oh, he's terrible that because a play didn't work. Now they have sometimes. It seems like they get a little conservative, but again. You have to be in the situation to know what you have. So,
what's been the most disappointing position group to you in your mind,
besides quarterback?
So you would say Penix.
Well, no,
I'll go.
I mean, the quarterback.
I'll go offensive line.
I was going to say you're going to talk about the O-line has to be, because they were a veteran core group that came back with depth, and they're not giving up a lot of sacks, but they're not giving up.
Yeah.
But he's not having time to throw any deep routes with comfort. And his deep routes are horrific. They're just slinging and guessing. He is not within 5 or 6 yards on
and in the 2 games so far against legitimate teams, Cincinnati and Iowa, not running the football, not run blocking very well either.
And that's definitely not Stephen Carr's fault, because I think he runs really hard.
I agree.
But they need another back that can match him, because I don't know if he wears down. But you talked about the defense wearing down. His running statistics always look great for the first half, 3/4 of a game, or half of a game. He's averaging 4 up close to 5 yards a carry. But by the time the end of the game comes around last week against a Western Kentucky team, he was down to 2.5 yards a carry. That's not enough.
Here's the other thing, right? The second back, Tim Baldwin, right? bad fumble against Cincinnati. Western Kentucky last week almost lost a fumble at a key spot too.
Well, and I pointed out on Twitter, I said, well, you won't see Tim Baldwin again tonight. And I don't know if you're going to see him this week at Penn State.
Yeah, I think you'll still see him. I think they still have trust in him, but he's got to clean that up for sure. But who else do you have behind him? And David Ellis has leg problems, so he's not a factor in the run game right now. You've got Davion Irvin Poindexter, the walk-on. Maybe we'll even see Charlie Spiegel a little bit. Maybe that would be a guy, a power guy that you can, put in there. But it's certainly not, like I said, it's not shaping up the way that you would hope to with the depth in the running back room that you thought coming into the season.
How about Ole Miss down in SEC, man? Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, well, Matt Corral, who, played well in the bowl game, is a terrific quarterback. He's continuing to play well.
He's emerged as the betting favorite to win the Heisman Trophy.
Yep. No, he's could be their best quarterback since Eli, whose hips don't lie, as we saw in the,
Well, and I talked about great games this weekend. Well, here you go. Ole Miss at number 1 Alabama, Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin.
Yep. And if you remember last year, that was a shootout. And
I was getting ready to say, and Ole Miss is probably in the best position that they've ever been in yet
to spring the upset.
And they do it, and to do it at Alabama.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can you imagine the tweets that will come from Lane Kiffin after that?
That's another mistake I think FSU made, Florida State made, because they hired Mike Norvell from Memphis. They could have hired Lane Kiffin. They could have hired Tom Allen. They would have been in a much better spot, I think.
They couldn't have gotten Tom Allen, but they could have gotten Lane Kiffin's. And last week when the USC job came open, Lane Kiffin tweeted a picture of the LA airport, and someone kept asking, why would he do that? Why is he got? I'm like, that's what Lane Kiffin does, man. I go, I promise you, he's not in LA. He's in Oxford, Mississippi right now. But yeah, that's what he does. He sent out a tweet of the LA International Airport, and I thought it was hilarious.
Because he got fired on the tarmac. Yeah, he's trolling him.
People don't. Yeah. They get all jacked up. They don't get. This is a joke, folks.
Yeah,
it's a joke.
Well, he's jilted. We've all been there. We've all been jilted, whether it's by a job or a woman or what have you. We've all.
No, but how was he jilted? He deserved it. He was a jackass back then.
Yeah. Well, he was probably not ready for that job.
But he wasn't ready. Just like the Raiders, he was young and arrogant, and
yeah,
it didn't work out. But he's a great offensive mind.
No, there's no question. There's no question, and he showed that in the bowl game against Indiana, if you remember, last January.
Talking about college football, the top teams.
Do you realize that? What's interesting? You realize that last week against Western Kentucky was their first win over a Division I team since Wisconsin the year ago, December, because their other win was against Idaho, which was an FCS, and they had lost 3 or 4. They lost to Ole Miss, they lost to Cincinnati, and they lost to Iowa.
Yeah, they were on a losing streak.
Yeah, against D1, and they barely squeaked by and beat Western Kentucky, needing those field goals, all those field goals from Charles Campbell, who got his breakfast ball and got the what do we call it? The make it on the 51-yarder because Western Kentucky jumped offside and then made the 46.
We need to hit a break, John.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do that. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the great folks at Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. Do you or does someone you spend time with snore or have sleep apnea? You need to see our friends at Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. Dr. Steve Green, a former IU player, and Brian Evans, waiting to help you get the good night's sleep you're not getting. It's a very simple, compact device. It's like teeth whitening trays. I use it myself. It works. I can tell you that. It's amazing. Just give them a call. Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. They're located at 4745 Statesman Drive in Indianapolis. Or you can just visit aurorasleep.com. And all these sponsors, man, these are all helping us do the things that we bring to you. So make sure you support. If you're buying a car, Andy Moore Honda. If you have sleep apnea, go visit the guys at Aurora. If you're looking for a home, Cheryl Sizemore. On and on. These people allow us to bring you this coverage, to go to cover everything that we cover. Southern Stone Restaurant. AAA Insurance is coming on with us. These people are important because it allows us to do this for you guys. So make sure you support our sponsors, please. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Hey, Hoosier fans.
I see why you. It sounds like I said restaurants with an S. I think I put a little too much emphasis on the at the end, so it kind of sounds like I said restaurants. Restaurant.
It reminds me of one of my favorite scenes, one of my favorite movies, Life. Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence. He was cracking on his daddy's watch because he lost it. And he called it a cheap ass watch. But don't even say watch. Don't even make your lips. Don't even let your lips make the watch look. It was just funny.
My wife makes fun of the way I say elementary and don't say elementary or elementary. I say elementary.
Well, because that's actually correct. And the general population of people that live in Kentucky have never heard English spoken correctly.
One thing that aggravates me so much down here is they pronounce so many cities incorrectly. Anything that has Ville in it is Vol, Danville, Pikeville, Louisville. Now I say Louisville because I've been around here long enough that I just say it myself.
It's laziness. It's just pure laziness. But then it gets adopted as the lexicon.
It's essentially slang or accent, whatever you want to call it.
No, that's just. I think that came from the people that live outside in the country and getting up and their kids hearing that, moving to the city, going up there to Louisville,
Yeah.
Danville. But that's just a Southern thing, period.
I guess. I don't know many people down outside of Kentucky that don't say Louisville. I feel like everybody else knows it as Louisville, though.
Not in the South.
Outside of Kentucky, I would say. I don't know for sure.
Not in Georgia, not in Alabama, not in Mississippi. They can't say words like that.
You better hope you don't have anyone from Alabama listening to you right now.
I'm just saying they don't pronounce them the same. They don't enunciate the syllables.
Yeah.
They just kind of cram them together. North Carolina, where my family moved to, my brother it's not as bad as it used to be, but his dialect changed. Down there, they put the accent on the last syllable of the last word. You gonna go down there tonight?
Oh yeah, that's Eastern Kentucky as well.
You gonna go to the store?
I know a lot of friends in the Southeast too. They say absolutely. That's a big thing. Absolutely.
I've caught myself saying that a lot recently.
Oh, I do too.
Absolutely.
All right, here we go.
And all the products of big city banks with hometown service.
With First Federal, you can do that.
This segment is brought to you by Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. It is Tuesday. It's beautiful out there. Kevin Brockway from CNHI Papers with us.
Yeah.
What's that?
I saw that, from Michael Music, that point about
the Music Man, yeah.
WKU.
Western Kentucky plays up in East Lansing this weekend. That's going to be a rough environment for them. Yeah. That's going to be a packed house. I expect Michigan State. I don't know, man. It's going to be it is going to be very interesting to see how Michigan State's defense fares, because I don't think their defense is as good as Indiana's, but their offense might be better. I don't know.
Michigan State is running the ball very well, but they really, like I said, that Michigan State game, they struggled in the second half, but Jaden Reed kind of saved their bacon with that punt return for the touchdown. They came up with a big play in special teams, and they won in overtime. And I think two differences in reading into that game compared to Indiana. Number one, obviously home and road, which we discussed. Indiana had to go there to Western Kentucky to play that game. Western Kentucky is going to Michigan State. And number 2, Western Kentucky was actually coming off a bye week when they faced Indiana, so they were more fresh. This game, they're coming into the game after playing Indiana, so a week before. So I think I wouldn't read that much into the scores if there's a disparity, and if Michigan State blows them out, that you're going to think that Michigan State's definitely going to beat Indiana here. And plus, every game is its own game, and every game is its own island anyway. You can play that game and think that it plans out, but each game is its own entity.
No doubt about that. Your Canes are playing Thursday night this week.
Oh, really? Who have they got?
Virginia.
Wow. In Miami or in Blacks?
It's in Miami.
Oh, it's in Miami. Well, yeah, maybe we can go out and watch a game together. If you'd like, this is the last week of men's league golf. That's afterwards. So, yeah. Afterward, let's see. A lot of Friday games this week. Don't like the Friday games. You know what? They can play Friday games all they want once the high school season gets over. Yeah, it overshadows high school. I agree, which is bad. But Iowa, Maryland, that will be an interesting game in Maryland. That's going to be a huge.
You know what? That is going to be
huge.
That
game.
is going to be an interesting game, man.
To see where Maryland is, to gauge their progress. I mean, are they for real? Because they've played a few cupcakes earlier this season, and they have not necessarily, you know what I mean? Like this will be good. I mean, they played Illinois in the Big Ten, but I mean, Illinois is, 1-4, but Purdue got past Illinois this week, last week also. That was interesting.
Forrest says that he thinks the Spartans will rush for 350 yards against, and they very well might.
Yeah, I think so too, because Western Kentucky's got a pretty bad run. They got a pretty bad defense all told, but the run defense is.
Man, why don't they? They don't have the. They don't have the.
I think Indiana. I think if Indiana wanted to in that Western Kentucky game, they could have ran it more. But I think they wanted to get Penix right heading into Big Ten play too. There's something to be said for that. And I think that's why they balanced it and they threw. I mean, part of this game was a confidence builder for Penix. And, listen, 373 is 373. But, still not sharp in the red zone, still not getting
373 yards and 0 touchdowns, though. That's what
I mean. Yeah, I don't think I've ever
heard of that.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen that kind of stat line.
And these were not because – and usually when you have that kind of yardage, you've had some explosive plays built into that.
Yeah.
But
don't forget, one of their explosive guys got hurt very early in that game, DJ Matthews.
What an odd injury, by the way. What happened?
He muffed the punt, and then he tried to go back and recover it. And in going back and recovering it, I think he planted and pivoted. And when he planted and pivoted, he hurt the knee. When I first saw it from the press box, I thought, he landed on the nose of the ball and got the wind knocked out of him. That's what I first thought. But then when you saw him come up and you saw him limp off, then you realize it was trouble. Yeah.
And he was really filling a nice role for that offense.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the speed, I think that's the main thing. You lose so much speed with him to stretch the field. And, one of the things I'll be writing about this week, Jacoby Hewitt and Miles Marshall, here's your opportunity. And Cameron Buckley, also the Texas A&M kid, but, he dropped the ball in that game. He had a bad drop in that game. There were a few drops in that. And Freifogel, even though he had 10 catches, he had a bad drop in that game too on a third down play, but he caught most of them. But you'd like to see the consistency in them catching all of them, of course. That would be ideal.
Of course. The Iowa at Maryland. Iowa is only a 4-point favorite.
Iowa struggled with Colorado State last week. And, they're a team that is kind of on that Indiana run last year with turnovers. They're getting a lot of turnovers. They're creating a lot of points off turnovers. But if you can take care of the football against Iowa, I think you could beat them. I think that's kind of the key because Spencer Petras is not a dynamic quarterback, but, they're just so disciplined and they do things well. And I still think they're the class of the West. They will probably represent the West in the Big Ten title game, but time will tell to see who comes out of the East, whether it's Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State, or if Indiana can make a crazy run.
Is this the year Michigan beats Ohio State? Jim Harbaugh gets that win.
Could be, because I think Ohio State defensively is vulnerable, and then the quarterback questions with Stroud. But maybe Oregon is just really good. Yeah, that might be the case too.
Was it Oregon or Oregon State that Fresno State played close? So wasn't it Oregon?
Fresno State played Oregon close, yeah, and then they beat UCLA.
Exactly. So how good is freaking Fresno State, Kalen DeBoer's team, man?
But then they just had a bad loss, I think, recently. I'm trying to remember who they lost to.
I thought they had a bye week this week.
They might have lost to Oregon State, yeah. But before the bye week, they
lost to a Pac-12 team, but they
Fresno State beat UNLV this past weekend.
Okay.
What was the score in that game?
They only won by, I think, 7. I don't have the score right in front of me, but it was closer than it should have been. UNLV hasn't won a game yet this year.
Yeah. They were 30-point favorites in that game.
So is Fresno State still unbeaten?
No, they lost to Oregon or Oregon State.
Oh, they lost to Oregon. That's right. Yeah.
But they beat UCLA. So
but
they were 20.
UCLA and they beat.
They're ranked in the top 20.
Yeah.
How about that?
Our good buddy Kalen DeBoer, man.
I chatted with him, congratulating him the other day, and just super great guy. But yeah,
that's the other thing. Like, say if Tom Allen does go somewhere, and I know you think he's not going to go anywhere, but say hypothetically he does. I think I brought this up yesterday to a reporter. Does the first phone call Scott Dolson make go to Kalen DeBoer?
If it doesn't, I would be highly, highly, highly disappointed.
Yeah.
There would be no phone call. I would be on a jet plane.
Yeah.
To the West Coast. He's got magic in his fingers. You look at everywhere he's been. All he's done is win at every level. And I mean win. I knew what the Indiana was losing when they lost him. They were losing a guy who has it together.
Yeah.
He's got it together.
Pretty good offensive line, yeah.
Not just that. He has a great feel for the game. He's easygoing. He does it without being all stressed out about it, because it's just, he's one of those guys. I think he's like a Lane Kiffin offensively. There's just some guys that those things, their brain works in a way that mine doesn't, that it's just easier. That stuff is easier for him. And he's one of those guys. And yes, absolutely. I've thought about that myself. Great. I'm glad you brought that up.
He's got a confidence to him. Yeah.
Oh, and my God. I mean,
obviously very sad news also, about Mike DeBoer. The former
absolutely.
player,
we mentioned that the other day. Has there been any updates?
I have not seen anything, but certainly that's unfortunate. And between that and Andy Hipskin, obviously, there's probably been a lot on Tom's mind this year. It's been a very tough month because of the expectations going into the season and a lot of things that have happened on the field and off the field that have, I'm sure that's weighing on his mind, and he's been fighting through that. So that's why this is such a big week, I think, coming up against Penn State, to see if they can, muster something together. But, he was asked, about, has this month changed his expectations, and he still fully believes in this team that they can, rally together and come through and meet the goals that they set in July. Whether that's the case or the fans believe it remains to be seen, but this will be a telling week in terms of to see if they can somehow regain that magic, and if Mike Penix can show in a Big Ten game that he is, back to form.
Yep. Let's see. Michigan goes on the road to Wisconsin. Yep. Michigan is a 1-point favorite. Well, I think that they win that game.
I mean, Wisconsin is a team that's struggling right now. And listen, they made the wrong choice. They thought Graham Mertz was a superstar based on that one game against Illinois. It turned out it was probably more Lovie Smith's defense than anything else, because Graham Mertz has struggled since then. He has not been good. And Jack Cohn, meanwhile, is playing gangbusters at Notre Dame. So
it's funny. Purdue, they've done nothing, but yet I think that after this weekend they're going to be 4-1.
Yeah, with the way Minnesota's struggling, and
yeah, I mean, they're 3-1 right now. I'm like, well, crap, they'll be 4-1, 2 games short of, and they're playing in the West. They're going to a bowl game this year easily.
Well, and they're playing better defense, and
they play in the West. They play in the West Division, so
yeah,
you don't need a lot of defense, but
they're playing better defense. They were still giving up points last year and 2 years ago when they were playing bad teams. Yeah,
don't they have like 3 defensive coordinators on that team now?
They do, but I think Lambert is the main guy from Marshall. I mean, he was a Broyles Award finalist. I think he's really the guy. And Brom is a little more involved. But, you have George Karlaftis, who is one of the best defensive linemen in the Big Ten, too, and that helps. I mean, pass rusher, and he's tough to handle.
Hey, does USC call Kalen DeBoer?
Yep, that would be interesting.
I don't know that. See, schools like USC – to me, oftentimes seem like they have to make the big hire. I think that's stupid. Make the right hire.
Well, I mean, they hired Clay Helton, so that wasn't a big name,
Man, if I was the guy at USC, I'd be driving up to Fresno.
Yep. There's a difference between winning games and winning the press conference, right? We've often heard, that's an expression I've often heard. So,
yep. All right. Let's see. Tomorrow on the program, Dylan Sin, Cal Nenrip, Bob Kravitz, whatever else we can get in. I'll see if what Jordan's up to as well. Jordan Hulls is back over in Germany. I have to give him a text while I'm thinking about that. But hope you guys had a great day. Going out and have yourself some fun. Kevin, what do you got coming up next?
Yeah, the story this week on the receivers, Miles Marshall, Jacoby Hewitt. Also a story about the Taiwan Mullen, Jahan Dotson matchup, which is interesting. And how that Penn State game last year kind of changed the trajectory for Indiana's football program. And on the Penn State side, how much is the revenge factor in play going into Saturday?
Sounds good, man. Looking forward to it. Make sure you give him a follow. And hey, if you're on Twitter, give me a follow, please, at Jim Coyle ISB. I'd appreciate it very much. Appreciate you guys. Thanks to producer John. Most importantly, thanks to you all. Without you, we've got nothing to do. Support our sponsors. We appreciate them all. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again, man. Until then, for Kevin and John, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.